Hey friends, do you feel like you're making those same few chicken dishes over and over again? I'm Mel and I'm here to help. Tonight I've taken 12 of my family's all-time favorite chicken dinners and compiled them into this one easy to find video. If you like Tex Mex, Italian, or simple comfort classic food, you're going to find all that here. And if you're short on time, don't fret. We've got easy casseroles, dump and go crockpot meals, and some one skillet dishes too. Best of all, they're all quick and easy, made with simple, inexpensive ingredients that are easy to find. So save this video to your favorites and you'll be able to pull out a winner chicken dinner any night of the week. We are going to make a chicken and dumpling casserole. If you've struggled making chicken and dumplings, you're going to love this recipe, and it's simple, basic ingredients. I'm starting by preheating my oven to 400 degrees, and I'm going to melt half a stick of butter in a 9x13 casserole dish. Now I'm going to mix 1 cup of milk with 1 cup. I'm using the Southern Biscuit Formula L biscuit mix. You can use self-rising flour, you could use Bisquick, whatever you want, but I prefer the Southern L. It has a beautiful taste. It makes the best biscuits and the best topping. When the butter comes out, you can see that that is all melted. Now I'm taking about 3 cups of some chicken that I've cooked up in the crock pot and shredded and placing that down in the melted butter. You could definitely use a rotisserie chicken or even leftover chicken or turkey from the holidays. The recipe says 3 to 4 cups. I just used about 3. Now we're going to season this chicken up just a little bit more with some black pepper, and I'm using my Auntie No-Nos, which is salt, garlic powder, and onion powder. Just do that to your taste. Now we're going to take the biscuit mixture and pour it right over the chicken. We don't want to mix it up. We just want to pour it right over it and let it just lay there like that. And you can see the little golden buttery flakes that are in that biscuit mix. It just makes them so good. Now I'm just going to make up about 2 cups of some chicken broth just out of a chicken base that I keep. Those are great space-saving items to keep in your pantry, either the powder or that little liquidy base. But I've made 2 cups of chicken broth. Into that I'm going to mix 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and we're going to pour that right over top of the biscuit layer. Again, just carefully pour it. It'll kind of mix itself just a little bit, but we don't want to do any additional mixing. We're just kind of layering this little casserole. It's very liquidy, which kind of scared me the first time I made it, but we're going to put it in a 400 degree oven uncovered for about 35 to 45 minutes. When mine came out, I was worried because it did still look pretty liquidy or soupy, but I just kind of started scooping down in there with my spoon a little bit, and I'll be doggone, look at that. It's chicken and dumplings in a casserole dish. These were so good, and the longer it sat, they did thicken up just a little bit, which was fine with me because I like a little bit thicker chicken and dumplings. And everybody loved this here. Patrick, he said these was the best chicken and dumplings that I've ever made. And even Maddie, who if she sees a pot of chicken and dumplings, she won't eat them. She loved this. And the Formula L, I can't say enough about it. Of course, you can see around the edges it got, a little done, but that was okay. I just mixed some of that in. Guys, you have to give this a try if you struggle with chicken and dumplings. You're going to love this one. Now that we've had the ultimate comfort food, let's move to a healthy and flavorful chicken dish. And this one is all in the marinade that makes it great. It starts with a 1/4 cup balsamic vinegar, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Gonna put in a 1/2 teaspoon of both salt and pepper, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and we're going to add in just a little bit of garlic and give this a good stir. This marinade is so flavorful, just a small amount will go a really long way. Now we're going to prep our chicken. I like to use thin chicken breast. I've butterflied 3 large ones, and now I'm just scoring across the top of each one of them. You want to be really careful when you're doing this not to cut all the way through your chicken. I just put all of my chicken in a Ziploc bag and pour that marinade in, and then I just kind of seal it up and mush it all around. Just make sure that everything is really good and coated. And mine only set for about 30 minutes, but you could go as long as you like with this. While it is marinating, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some veggies. I used about half of a red onion. I like mine just in kind of smaller bite-sized pieces. Putting that in a big 9x13 casserole dish. I'm also throwing in a carton of cherry tomatoes that I've got all rinsed up and good to go. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil on that and season that with a little bit of salt. Give it a good stir, and now we are going to bring our chicken out and just nestle it down in between these veggies. It's okay if it sits a little bit on top of it. And not only is this delicious, this is also a really pretty dinner. I like to pour the extra marinade over on the top of the chicken and veggies before we put it in the oven, about 420 to 30 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes uncovered. Just want to make sure that chicken gets to an internal temperature of 165. Now, if you wanted to, you could put some mozzarella cheese on top of your chicken and put it back in the oven under broil for a few minutes, but I really just like it plain like this. I love the taste or the flavor of the balsamic and the Italian seasoning together on this, and those little tomatoes, they are so sweet and they just pop in your mouth whenever you take a bite, just how they've been cooked up. This one is so good. I love this, and even though it is simple, this does not lack on flavor. If you're here watching, chances are you and I are both struggling with the same problem, the dreaded dinner time rut. It's really a combination of issues though, time, money, and plain old recipe boredom. But the good news is HelloFresh can help with every one of those. I've been enjoying HelloFresh for about a year now, and the recipes just keep getting better. You browse their menus online, choose the meals you want and your delivery date. HelloFresh handles the meal planning and does all the shopping. Then everything is delivered right to your doorstep. All that's left for you is to open your box and get cooking. They include easy-to-follow, step-by-step recipes with beautiful photos for every meal. So you can easily add these new favorites right into your regular rotation. All the ingredients are farm fresh, pre-portioned, and packaged together for each recipe, making it so easy and less food being wasted. If you're out of ideas for dinner, HelloFresh has more solutions than ever, with over 45 dinner options to choose from weekly at a price you'll really like. Some of my new favorites are from their quick and easy lineup, especially the 15-minute recipes. And they even offer market add-on items that would suit any lifestyle. Right now, HelloFresh is giving all subscribers free breakfast for life with a free breakfast item with every delivery. I've had 4 different varieties of the egg bites. They're all delicious. And all you do is pop them in the microwave for just a couple minutes. And the Belgian waffles have the best taste. They're kind of like a little sugary crunch on the outside, but nice and fluffy inside. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code MOMMAFREE for free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's code MOMMAFREE at HelloFresh.com for free breakfast for life. And thank you, HelloFresh, so much for kindly sponsoring today's video. On to something that's low carb and keto friendly, and it's a baked cracked chicken breast. I started with about 4 or 5 strips of bacon that I chunked up in fairly decent sized pieces. I didn't want them little bitty, and I just fried these up in my skillet, and then I took them out, but I did leave my bacon grease there in my pan. Again, I'm splitting my chicken breast in half to make them nice and thin so they'll cook up a lot quicker and a little more evenly for me. We're going to brown up these chicken breasts on top of the stove in this bacon grease. and we're going to hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm also going to season it up with a little bit of garlic powder and some paprika. And we're just going to cook it about 2 or 3 minutes on each side, and then when we flip it, we're going to season the other side. And I do add a little bit more butter into this bacon grease just to give it a little extra added layer of flavor. And you don't have to get this cooked all the way through. We're just getting a nice brown on it and starting up this seasoning process here. I love what paprika does to the taste and color of chicken. While that's browning up, we're going to work on a topping. I've got 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, and I'm adding in about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder. I'm also putting in a good sized tablespoon of powdered ranch dressing seasoning and just a little handful of shredded cheese. And if you had some green onion or chive to go in this, that would be really good, but you just kind of mix all that together and get it all combined. Now that our chicken is browned up, just going to put it over into a greased casserole dish, and we're going to take that cream cheese mixture and just put a little bit on each piece of chicken. I try to spread it out and get it just kind of all covered over the top of it. Now we're going to take that bacon and go ahead and just nestle it down into that cream cheese. This is why I liked mine in bigger chunks. I like that. And then I'm going to take a little Monterey Jack cheese and put over top of that bacon just to kind of seal it on there. Going to put this in a 400-degree oven, and you're just going to cook it till it reaches internal temperature of 165 degrees. And oh my goodness, look how that cream cheese melts down on here. I served it with a salad. This is keto, but I did have some rolls, and I put a little brown roll on the side with mine. I wanted to share with you the salad that we had this night. It was just a bagged salad kit, and this is from Taylor Farms, and this was the honey citrus, and it was so good. I really enjoyed this one. And then this is that famous brown bread from the Cheesecake Factory that they now sell in stores. I found this on markdown. Be sure and check your clearance bakery racks at the grocery store. This was so delicious. Again, the chicken was flavorful. We had all the seasonings on top of it. Then that delicious cream cheese and ranch just melted into it and made it perfect. And again, this salad was wonderful. Now let's move on to my favorite chicken tacos. Very low ingredient, dump and go crock pot recipe. I've got about 2 pounds of chicken breast in my crock pot. I'm adding 1 envelope of taco seasoning, putting in a 4-ounce can of diced green chilies, not draining them or anything like that. I'm also going to put in 1 can of Rotel diced tomatoes with green chili. I just have recently found this lime and cilantro, and it is very good, but you can use just plain Rotel. I'm also not draining any of that. And what we love about a good old dump and go meal is you dump it in, put the lid on, and go. I'm cooking mine on high for about 4 to 6 hours. Then we'll come back and add 1 more ingredient. This day I was actually going to Costco, and I was actually gone about 8 hours this day. So when I got home, my chicken was good and done. I just took my little meat masher and mixed it all up and shredded it right inside of the crock pot there. I did turn it down to low at this point. It shreds up nice and easy right down in the crock pot. The extra juices kept it nice and moist, and it smells so good. Now I'm taking 1 jar of queso. You can use whatever your favorite brand is, putting in about a cup or about half of this jar of queso. I'm just going to stir this in, get it all incorporated and mixed together really well, and put the lid back on it and just let it sit there and kind of get all the flavors together while I am chopping up some toppings for my tacos. I wanted to try something new this night, so I heated a skillet up on top of the stove about a medium heat and put down a light layer of some Monterey Jack cheese. Now I'm taking just a soft taco-sized flour tortilla and smashing it down on top of the cheese, filling that up with my chicken taco queso mixture. When that gets good and hot, the cheese will stick to that flour tortilla, and you can just grill it up. This was such a treat. We absolutely loved these. The little extra crunchy cheese on the outside made this over the top. I had seen this done before, and this was so much fun. And I just fill them full of all my favorite taco fixins. Yummy, delicious, and you can use this taco filling for enchiladas, quesadillas, taco salad, whatever you want. It is delicious. If you have been here long, you know I'm a lover of a skillet meal, especially this cheesy chicken pasta one. It starts with 2 tablespoons of butter that I melted down over a medium-high heat. I'm going to add in a big old tablespoon of garlic and 2 tablespoons of flour. Simply just making a roux here. Want to cook it maybe 2 minutes just till it begins to thicken a little bit. Then I'm going to stir in about 1.5 cups of milk. Want to do this slowly and keep whisking it. When it thickens up and you can kind of see it sticking to the sides, you'll know that you are right at the right place. And now we're going to reduce that heat just a little bit. I'm adding 2 cups of a Colby and cheddar cheese, and you just want to mix it in really low heat till it gets really nice and velvety. I'm putting in 2 cups of some shredded chicken that I had made in the crock pot and had back in the freezer. Thawed that out, and I'm using that. You can feel free to use rotisserie chicken or, bake some up, whatever you have on hand. I'm also going to add in a big tablespoon of dry ranch seasoning that you make ranch dressing out of, and I'm going to throw some black pepper to mine too because I love pepper. Just want to get everything all stirred together and begin to incorporate it. And now we are taking 8 ounces of bow tie pasta that we've cooked, and I'm going to reserve back some of my pasta water. Sometimes you find you need just to add a little bit more water in just to kind of make everything come together. And I'm going to take about another 1/2 cup of some shredded cheddar cheese and just get it all mixed in. One last little cheesy bit there. The thing I love about this dish are the brightness of the flavors. You really taste the garlic and the ranch, but it's like a light flavor. It's not overpowering, that anything like that, but you just taste everything. It's quick, it's easy, it's 1 skillet and a pasta pot, and you're done. Now let's make a creamy chicken sheet pan dinner. The great thing about sheet pan dinners is you don't have a lot of active cooking. You chop up your ingredients and you're not stuck over the stove flipping things in a frying pan. I'm chopping up some broccoli and some red potatoes, and I'm going to use 2 different sheet pans tonight. I have my broccoli and some very thin sliced chicken breast on one pan, and this sheet pan meal also has a wonderful sauce. We're going to mix up 1 can of cream of chicken soup. We're going to put in just a little bit of minced garlic, and I'm going to sprinkle in maybe a teaspoon of dried parsley flakes. Also going to add in about 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese and get it all mixed up. Now we're going to start seasoning everything up. We're going to start out by just drizzling a little oil over everything. And I'm using 2 pans here. If you don't have a huge pan, that is perfectly fine. Use 2 smaller ones. As a matter of fact, in this meal, it worked out better because, potatoes do take a little bit longer. So I can cook them a little bit longer or start them sooner if I need to make sure everything's done about the same time. And I'm just seasoning everything with some black pepper and some of my anti-no-nos. Then we're going to put that sauce over our chicken breast and use every bit of the sauce. Even if you think it's more than enough, it's going to cook down, and it's wonderful to dip your vegetables in. I'm going to put both these in the oven at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes. And I did broil my chicken just to get a little bit of brownness on the top. But this sheet pan dinner has all the comfort, cozy, home-cooked vibes, that sauce or gravy, if you will. This does not feel like a regular sheet pan meal. This feels like a good home-cooked meal. I love my broccoli charred just a little bit, so the little bit of broil on it was just perfect with me. Tonight we are going to make a baked Tuscan chicken casserole. This is Maddie's favorite. She's been asking for this for a while and we just have not had it. I know this looks like a lot of ingredients, especially for me, but honestly, these are all things that I have on hand all the time, and you probably do too. The only thing you may not have is the sun-dried tomatoes, and that's something that I just keep on hand now because we have really got to liking that. The first thing we're going to do is make our seasoning mixture, because we're going to put half of this on our chicken and half of it in our mixture. We're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and an entire teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Now we're going to mix up our cream cheese spread that will go over this chicken. And I had sour cream out here. Well, it doesn't go in here, so there's no sour cream in it. But it does have 3 ounces of cream cheese. Calls for 6 ounces of frozen spinach that you have like thawed out. Squeeze the water out of it really good. And spinach is always so hard to guess how much is enough. But we're going to say that's about right. Going to throw in a little bit of garlic. This really calls for a lot of garlic. I'm probably not using as much as it calls for. And a 1/3 cup of heavy cream. Once I begin mixing that, I'm going to bring in some shredded Parmesan cheese. That's probably about a 1/3 cup. I like to sprinkle just a little bit of this kind in here too. About a 1/3 cup of mozzarella cheese. Then our little seasoning mixture that we made, we're going to put about half of it in here. I've got my 4 chicken breasts here in a greased 9x13 casserole dish. I am going to hit them with just some salt and pepper. Then we're going to take the seasoning that we have left and season up this chicken really good with it. This is a really flavorful dish. It has the layers of flavor, which make it delicious. Now we've got our cream cheese mixture, and we're just going to liberally spread some of this across every piece of chicken. The thing I like about this too is that it cooks up really quickly, because this chicken, we've split it in half so it's nice and thin. That's all I have left, but I always just go ahead and put it on here. This recipe also calls for 8 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes, and this jar is 8.5 ounces, but I never use the full 8.5 ounces. You can like not even see this chicken. It's covered with all this mixture. These are very strong, like they're not spicy, but they just have a strong flavor. So I use them fairly sparingly. Sometimes I'll chop them up even smaller, but these look like they're cut up pretty good, and they're really oily. We do like this flavor, we just don't want 8 ounces of it. We probably used maybe a 1/3 of that jar or a 1/4. Then it does say to just drizzle a little bit of this oil out of here over the top, and I do that. It's really strong. Hit it with a little bit more mozzarella cheese, just a smidgen. We're going to bake this at 400 degrees covered with aluminum foil for about 20 minutes. Then we'll pull that off and bake it another 15 uncovered. It's funny how you don't have something for a while and you just forget how much you love it. I always let mine sit here and let this sauce thicken up just a little bit. There come our loaded mashed potatoes, and I just throw a little bit of green onion on the top of them. This baked Tuscan chicken, not only is it delicious, but it's like low carb and keto friendly, and it's also gluten free. You can actually use leftover chicken or rotisserie chicken and make this more like a casserole like we're familiar with.
And you could kick it up with some spices like cayenne and stuff like that. But we love it just like this. It had been way too long since we had Tuscan chicken.
Today I'm making one of those recipes that is great for cleaning out your fridge, your pantry, your freezer, and using up all those bits and pieces of things that you just don't want to go to waste. I'm going to boil up about half of this 17.5-ounce bag of 4-cheese tortellini. You could also use about 10 ounces of ravioli. You can use cheese, sausage, whatever flavor you like. While my tortellini's cooking up, I have, I don't know, half a pound, maybe close to a pound of some chicken breasts that I have chunked up into little pieces. And I'm going to brown this up in some oil and butter. Going to season this up with a little bit of salt, some black pepper. Let's give it some Italian seasoning. Can you get this open? Can't get the thing off. I'm also going to use just a little bit of this smoked paprika. And I think Patrick's finished mowing. It's mowing season here. Y'all hear the lawnmower in a lot of my videos here lately. And I'm sorry for you guys who have not had the rain. We have had a lot of rain. East Tennessee is like a rain forest. So our yards are growing up quick. I'm also going to get out, maybe about half a cup of these sun-dried tomatoes. Draining them of the oil a little bit as I bring them out. I'm going to give these a quick little rough chop to get them in a little bit smaller pieces. Sun-dried tomatoes is something I've just started using in recipes over the last maybe 3 years, and I absolutely love this flavor. I'm also going to go ahead and get my little grape tomatoes cut in half as well. I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup, which is about half of what I chopped up of these sun-dried tomatoes. And I'm going to cook that in the skillet here along with this chicken. Now that my chicken is cooked thoroughly, I'm just going to put it aside here on a plate. I'm going to add a little bit more oil back in here. I have a lot of broccoli that needs to be used up, but I'm not going to use it all because I'm the only one that eats cooked broccoli unless it's in casserole form. I'm going to slide in the rest of that sun-dried tomato. I've got some fresh spinach. Sometimes it doesn't have such long stems, which doesn't bother me unless they're super long like that. I'm just going to let that wilt down in here. And I will leave you a link to this original recipe. It was a chicken ravioli basil pesto. That's what it was called. But like I said, I'm using the things that I have on hand. Before I add my chicken back in here, I'm going to take about 1/4 cup of pesto. That may be a little bit more. And I'm going to put a little bit of this basil in here with it. And let's kind of get all this coated and mixed in. Now that we've got that started, let's put our chicken back in. I'm going to take a little bit of my pasta water. It's got a couple little tortellinis in it. Just to kind of help this sauce come about. Now let's add this tortellini in. I definitely used more than I should have. But you know what? I think I will just stick that maybe in the refrigerator and pull it out with some sauce for something else tomorrow. I could maybe add a little bit more in. Let's not forget our cherry tomatoes. As usual, I should have used my big humongous skillet, but it's so big and heavy. I would just rather use this medium-sized one. And friends, this one is ready to go. Very quick, very easy. Used up a lot of food that did not go to waste. Full of veggies. Y'all, I just tried this. It is absolutely delicious. every one of these flavors comes through. And fun fact about the sun-dried tomatoes, they look like little bacon bits in there where I chopped them up. But my family, Patrick and Maddie, who both don't like tomatoes, they love sun-dried tomatoes. They love the Tuscan chicken, and that is the flavor in it that they love, is the sun-dried tomatoes. So if you have a picky eater, try them. Now, the cherry tomatoes in here, I think it's wonderful. With a big bite of this tortellini, it has a little burst of sweetness. They might try them. Now that they're cooked and they're a little softer, they might like them. But y'all, give this a try. Either this way or with the original recipe, you're going to love it. And I'll let you know what Patrick thinks when he gets back in from mowing.
No surprises here. Patrick and Maddie did not put any of the cherry tomatoes out on their plates, but they really loved this dish too. The three of us, we just devoured this. It was so good. It was bright and fresh. I really enjoyed the little bit of pesto in this. I'm liking that flavor a lot too. I'm just trying to cook a little bit better for us and myself mainly, but really we can all use it. This was perfect and basically one skillet and done.
Are you hungry yet, friends? I just wanted to jump in here between some of these recipes and let you know if you like this kind of video, I've got a couple more I'm going to put down in the description box for you that I think you'd enjoy. Like this marathon at 25 quick and easy ground beef recipes. And here's another one that's got 5 more of our all-time favorites. And if you love chicken, you have got to watch this best of the best chicken recipes, where each dish has a special little twist. And full disclosure, friends, I picked out 25 recipes for this video. I just couldn't fit them all in. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss the second half of this little chicken marathon coming later in the year.
Now let's make a one-pot chicken fajita pasta. We're going to start with 4 thin sliced chicken breasts that I've cut up into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to cook them all the way through in my Dutch oven in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, some butter, and a big tablespoon of fajita seasoning. I'll leave you the recipe for the fajita seasoning in the description box. It's from Cathy. A lot of you guys know her here. She shared that with me a while back and said I could share it with everybody else. And now we're going to prep our bell peppers. I've got 3 beautiful different colored ones and just a little bit of an onion. Just doing it in small strips like you would for fajitas. When that chicken is cooked all the way through, I'm just going to remove it to a plate and set it over to the side, trying to leave as much oil as I can. You can always add a little bit extra if you need to, like I did. And I'm throwing all my veggies in here. I'm going to get them coated really good in that oil and butter. And I'm going to throw in another big tablespoon of the fajita seasoning. And I'm going to let them cook down a little bit. I still like my fajita veggies to have a little bit of a crunch to them. I don't like them just to turn to mush. So when they get about where I like them, I'll put a little bit of garlic in and just cook it a couple minutes, not long, with that garlic in there. And then I'm going to pull that out and set it aside as well. Now, in order to cook our pasta, we're going to use this same pot and we're going to add 2 cups of chicken broth in. Then we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. I think I cut that footage out by accident. I'm putting in 1 can of Rotel diced tomatoes with chilies, not draining that. And I'm going to put in 8 ounces of bow tie pasta. Any short pasta would work just fine. I like to season that with just a little bit of salt and pepper. Stir that all together, bring it up to a nice little boil, and then I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit, put the lid on, let it cook about 5 minutes, give it a nice stir. Then I'm going to put the lid back on and let it cook another 5 minutes. Now, most of my liquid was gone at this point, so I was good to go ahead and stir in my chicken and veggies. At this point, if you still have a lot of liquid left, just let it cook a couple minutes more. But we're just going to turn off the heat now and stir all this together, and all these flavors are just going to get all mixed up. This thing smells so good and it tastes so good. I think this is even easier, if you can get easier than fajitas. I just lay it out on a plate and fix it up just like I would a regular fajita. It's like you're just kind of replacing your flour tortilla with the pasta and use all the same toppings. I love this dish. This one is an oldie but a goodie. This is the crockpot Olive Garden creamy chicken pasta. I start with 3 chicken breasts in my crock pot and use an entire 16-ounce bottle of the Olive Garden dressing. I think this was Aldi's brand. Any store brand is fine with me. One thing I do add that most people don't is 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and I think it makes all the difference in this dish. That dressing can really pack a punch, really be twangy, and the cream of chicken really helps cut that. I also throw in a tablespoon of garlic. I don't use any salt. There's plenty enough salt in this dish, but I do throw in about a half a teaspoon of pepper. And then I'm going to put in about a half a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Going to give it just a little stir. It doesn't have to be perfect or completely mixed. I just like to try and give it a little stir. And then put an 8-ounce block of cream cheese on the top. And I cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours. Once that chicken's done, I shred it up with my meat masher right inside the crock pot. Start mixing that cream cheese in and breaking down. Turn it down to low, put the lid back on, and over on the stovetop, I'm boiling up a 16-ounce box of penne pasta. Any short pasta would work. Once that's finished, give it another stir, drain that pasta, and stir the whole box in. That's all there is to this dish, and it is creamy and delicious, and I always make the full amount of this recipe because we love to have this for lunch. It just tastes better the longer that it sits. And I like to put a little bit of bacon on the top. You'll see a lot of these chicken dishes I serve up with a salad because everybody loves a nice green salad. Now we're going to give an old classic favorite a new twist. I'm going to start with just a little bit of chopping of some iceberg lettuce and 1 little Roma tomato. I am going super quick and easy tonight. I'm using this Tyson grilled and ready frozen chicken breast strips right out of my freezer. I'm just heating a little bit of olive oil and butter in a pan and tossing it in. It's fully cooked. You just need to reheat it, 3 or 4 minutes at the most on each side. I do like to season it up with a little salt and pepper. I also used a little bit of garlic powder and some paprika. This particular one is not seasoned at all. I really like it best. They do have a couple of others that have some seasoning and flavor in them, and they're good too, but I just prefer to use my own. Once this begins to thaw and heat through, I do like to take my little spatula and just cut it up into even smaller pieces. Now that I've got them all heated through, I'm just pulling them out of the skillet, putting them in a little bowl here, and I'm taking some of this Buffalo Wild Wings Parmesan garlic sauce, which I am loving, and I just squirt a generous amount in there and give it a toss. Use how much ever you want, or this is inspiration. If you want a buffalo sauce, if you just want some ranch dressing, whatever you like, put it in here. Now we're going to assemble our crunch wrap, and I'm using a big burrito-sized flour tortilla. First thing I'm going to put down is just a little mozzarella cheese. Want to make it about the size of a corn tostada. Then I'm just going to load it up with a little bit of this chicken. Now we're going to put down that tostada, and I'm working on Patrick's here, so I am going ham with the sour cream. He's a sour cream lover. Going to put him some shredded lettuce on here. I love the crunchiness of the lettuce, and just a little bit of tomato for him. And then I'm putting another smaller flour tortilla in there. And I'll just show you how to fold these. There's really no way to explain it. You just go around and fold it up and hold it with all of your fingers. I've also got a little bit of butter melting up in my skillet over there, and I am going to toss it in there, the seam side down, into that warm butter and start letting this cook up on each side. We let it get nice and brown, and then we're going to flip it over there. Isn't that neat how that turns out? I just love it. We love us a regular crunch wrap with just a regular old taco meat, but this Parmesan garlic one, it was amazing. And I want you to look here. I could have even got a little bit more in this one. This one looks a little wimpy if you ask me, but I couldn't wait for Patrick to come in and try this for lunch.
Oh, what'd you say it was, chicken?
I already ate off that side, but
No, mine.
that's okay. It's some grilled chicken, and then I kind of, heated it up, put that parm garlic sauce from Buffalo Wild Wings on it, and made crunch wraps with them.
It was very good.
Awesome. I'm starting the morning like I seem to start a lot of mornings, with boneless, skinless chicken breast in the crock pot here. I'm going to throw in some cracked chicken today. So I've got about 4 chicken breasts, and I'm going to put 1 block of cream cheese. Then I'm just taking an envelope of the ranch seasoning. If you have the kind in the canister, this is probably about 3 tablespoons. And I like to sprinkle just a little extra garlic powder on mine. And I think today I'm just going to put just a little bit of water in here with this, maybe about half a cup. I'm going to put my lid on here. I'm going to let this cook on low all day. I'm going to be gone. And when I get back, we'll finish it off with some bacon and just shred everything up. And you guys have seen cracked chicken, I'm sure, probably seen it a million times, but I'm making a new recipe tonight, but it starts with cracked chicken. And this is probably a little bit more chicken than what I'll need for this recipe, but that's okay. Cracked chicken's delicious. We can eat it on sandwiches if we have some left over. It's also good to eat on crackers or like tortilla chips, or just with a fork. It's just good. It's real good. So anyway, first step, this does most of the work for us today. It's been many, many hours later since I left this chicken. I've had a big fun day. So there's my cream cheese, and here's my chicken, and I am just going to take this meat masher and break this chicken up and stir that cream cheese into it. Still tender, still good. That's the great thing about the crock pot. It's pretty forgiving. I'm also just going to take some real bacon pieces, sprinkle the rest of this little container of those in, and stir that around with it. And normally when I make cracked chicken, I put some shredded cheddar cheese down in here. But I am not going to do that tonight, because we're going to cheese this up fairly good over here in just a second. And I have a big pot of boiling water, and I'm taking some lasagna noodles, and I'm just going to cook them up about 7 or 8 minutes. You don't want to cook these quite as long as you normally would, because these are actually oven ready ones. Now that my noodles are all done cooking up here, just going to pull them out here and lay them out to sort of dry and mainly cool so we can handle them. We are going to do some cracked chicken lasagna rolls. Can't wait. It did not take but just a minute or so for those to cool, but I've got a greased about 9 by 13 inch baking dish here, and I'm taking about half a cup of Alfredo sauce. This one is roasted garlic. Just going to spread it down here in the bottom of this. Now we're going to make our little roll-ups here. Just going to take a lasagna noodle. Then you're going to spread your chicken mixture down your noodle. Of course, this is one of those dishes where it says to be careful not to overstuff. So I'm going to do my best. Got that spread out pretty good. Then you're just going to roll this up. Oh yeah, that's nice and easy. Believe it or not, this is the first time I have ever done lasagna rolls. Then you're just going to put it seam side down over here into your baking dish. These are surprisingly easy to work with. I've done stuffed shells a time or two, and you know, if you watch many of my recipes, that I'm not
one for frou-frou cooking. I like stuff that's done quick and easy. The least amount of dishes that you have. I'm not into a bunch of prep work. And yeah, these are a lot easier than stuffed shells. I really like this. I'm gonna put a little bit more in this one than I did the last one because I really didn't have a lot coming out of the side of that one. And we don't want to be skimpy. Oh, that's a nice big meaty boy. Look at that one. There's one in every crowd, isn't there? You know what I said way back this morning about I'll probably have some left over for sandwiches and this and that? No, this recipe was pretty much spot on. Once I started filling them nice and full, because I saw that I could, I got like one little spoonful left, and that is all. Now we're just going to take about another cup of the Alfredo sauce and put it all over the top of these. So that was about a 15 or 16 ounce jar of Alfredo sauce there that I used on this. Now we're going to sprinkle on about a cupful of mozzarella cheese. And something that I did forget to mention is that this recipe is about 7 Weight Watchers points. I'm not doing Weight Watchers, but I am trying to do a little bit better job about noticing things at like maybe keto or Weight Watchers, and you know, just trying to be a little bit more mindful of these things. But I did not have the low-fat cream cheese. I had to use full fat, and that may make a difference. But anyhow, I wanted to throw that in there for anybody that might be helpful to. Then I'm just going to sprinkle some parsley on the top of mine because I love parsley, how it looks in mozzarella cheese. And I did have my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I'm going to bake this for 25 to 30 minutes. These little cracked chicken lasagna rolls, I just can't say enough good things about them. They were so much fun to make, so much easier than what I thought they would be. And look at all that cheesiness on there. I was obsessed in this video about showing you the inside of the food for some reason, but everything just cooked up so pretty and so good. These were absolutely delicious and so filling, and every one of these just paired up so good with a salad, and that just made it even more easy. But these are so good. As soon as Maddie ate this one, she said, "Mom, this one needs to go on the rotation." She absolutely loved it. We all did. So flavorful, and the cracked chicken really came through, and it tastes so good along with that Alfredo. I wasn't sure how those two flavors were going to go together, but if you don't try anything this week, try these cracked chicken lasagna roll-ups. They were absolutely delicious and so much fun to make.
If you're getting some great ideas from tonight's video, I'd love it if you give it a big thumbs up. Be sure and check out the other videos that I mentioned too. I appreciate you, and I never take for granted that you choose to spend some of your time with me each week. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I send you lots of love from my kitchen.